Transporting animals by air. If it only depended on our will, pets would go everywhere with us. The problem is that services and facilities are not always prepared to receive them. When traveling, for example, apart from the difficulty of finding a hotel, there is also the fear of transporting animals by air. The fear is understandable and, because of it, many owners choose to leave their four-legged friends on dry land. For those who are thinking of traveling with their pets but haven't had the courage yet, the good news is that it is possible to transport animals safely by air. Remember that the rules mentioned here are not the same for when you need to travel with a guide dog or an emotional support animal. Some may converge, but national and international legislation, as well as airline requirements, are different in these cases. If you plan to take your pet with you on your next plane trip, you should be aware of the necessary precautions. It is very important to know the procedure for buying tickets for air travel with pets. Also, pay attention to much more than just the flight schedule. Before starting the search for tickets, check which companies perform the air transport of animals and what are the conditions, weight, size of the box and place where the pet will be transported. In the case of dogs and cats, if possible, give preference to companies that allow the pet to go in the cabin with you, where you can observe him and convey security to him. The weight limit, some of the weight of the pet and the box, allowed in the cabin varies by company. If you exceed the weight limit allowed in the cabin, dogs and cats can also be transported in the cargo compartment or in a special compartment for pets, depending on the company. In this case, there is also a weight limit according to each company. Remember that it is not allowed to transport animals on connecting flights where there is a change of company. After purchasing the ticket, the pet seat should be reserved as soon as possible, since there is a limit per flight, usually 3 dogs or cats. When choosing seats, keep in mind that you cannot stay with your pet in the front row or the emergency exits. Airlines also charge for transporting pets in the cabin and in special compartments. Don't forget to check the fare at the time of purchase to avoid surprises. Even if your friend is used to being held on your lap, he or she must remain in an animal transport crate during the entire flight. At the time of choice, in addition to taking into account the welfare of the pet, you must consider the recommendations of the companies. Here are some tips. Each airline has a limit to the size of the crates that will go both in the cabin and in the special compartments. Always check this information to be accepted. The crate must be rigid, have ventilation, be made of resistant material, fiber or plastic, and waterproof, in perfect condition, and very clean. Flexible crates are also accepted by some airlines for flights in the cabin. In this case, the fabric must always be waterproof. It must be resistant to prevent accidental opening. Never use boxes with wheels on airplanes. Besides being dangerous, they are not allowed by the airlines. In the case of dogs and cats, the ideal size of the box is the one in which the pet can stand up and turn around 360 degrees. If you notice that the ideal size of the box will exceed the established limit, do not even think about choosing a smaller one. Besides being checked by the companies, a box that does not allow movement can bring serious harm to the pet. Too big boxes are also not recommended, since they do not give stability and can hurt the animal. There are specific boxes for air transport of birds, rodents, reptiles, and other animals. Check the recommendations of each company. As for what should be placed in the carrier, Dr. Karina Mussolino, a veterinarian, says that it depends a lot on the length of the trip. However, water should always be available. Just as we need specific documentation to travel, the boarding of pets also depends on the presentation of certain documents and certificates. Check out everything you'll need to board your friend on domestic and international flights below. For interstate/domestic pet transportation. Vaccination card with proof of anti-rabies vaccination applied more than 30 days and less than 1 year ago. Health certificate issued by a veterinarian up to 10 days before the trip, ensuring that the pet is healthy and in good condition to travel. For international air transport of animals. Vaccination card with proof of anti-rabies vaccine applied more than 30 days and less than 1 year. health certificate issued by a veterinarian within 10 days before travel, International Veterinary Certificate, CVI, valid for 60 calendar days after issuance. For South America, International Animal Health Certificate, CZI, valid for 60 calendar days after issuance, health certificate issued by a veterinarian within 10 days before issuance of the CVI, ensuring that the pet is healthy. It is worth pointing out that this is only the documentation required by airlines for boarding in Brazil. In the case of international flights, in addition to this, it is necessary to check the conditions for the entry of the pet in the country of destination, which can be seen on the site of the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, and Supply, where you can also request the CV.